The silver ship appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. It was bigger than any building humans had ever seen. The ship moved slowly and quietly above the clouds. People on Earth stopped what they were doing and looked up at the strange. Visitor. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Luna Station. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had been waiting for this moment his whole life. The radio crackled with voices from Earth. Everyone was asking the same question. What did the aliens want? Captain Morrison, his communications officer, called out. They're sending us a message. Jake nodded. Put it on the main screen. A face appeared on the screen. It was not human. The being looked like it was made of blue crystal. It had no hair, and its eyes glowed with soft light. When it spoke, its voice was musical and kind. Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. We come in peace. We wish to meet with your leaders. Jake stepped forward. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to our solar system, Ambassador. We would be honored to meet with you. The crystal being smiled. At least Jake thought it was a smile. Thank you, Captain Morrison. May we come aboard your station? Of course, please join us. 2 hours later, Ambassador Veltar walked through the halls of Luna Station. He was not alone. 3 other aliens walked with him. One looked like a tall tree with golden leaves. Another was covered in soft fur and had 6 arms. The third was small and floated in the air without wings. Jake walked beside them. Behind him came Dr. Susan Wright, Earth's best scientist. Next to her was Ambassador Kate Sullivan, who spoke many languages and had met leaders from every country on Earth. Your station is beautiful, Veltar said. His voice echoed in the metal halls. We did not expect humans to build such things. We've been working in space for many years, Jake replied. We like to explore and learn new things. They entered a large room with windows that showed the stars. The aliens looked around with wonder. They seemed surprised by how clean and organized everything was. Please, sit down, Kate said. She gestured to chairs around a big table. We have many questions for you. The aliens sat down carefully. Veltar placed his crystal hands on the table. We have questions too. We heard your radio signals from far away. Your music and stories reached us across the stars. We found them beautiful. Dr. Wright leaned forward. How far did you travel to reach us? Many light years. The tree-like? Alien answered. I am botanist Shimara. We have been traveling for 2 of your Earth years. 2 years, Jake said quietly. That's a long journey. We belong to the Zephyrian Empire, Veltar explained. 7 different species live together in peace. We help each other. We share knowledge and resources. We have not had a war for over 1,000 years. Kate smiled. That sounds wonderful. How did you manage to live in peace for so long? We learned that fighting brings only pain, the small floating alien said. I am Healer Zixon. I have seen the results of violence. It is much better to talk and share than to fight. The furry alien nodded. I am Engineer Kodal. We build things together instead of breaking them apart. When we work together, we can create amazing things. Jake looked at his companions. They seemed impressed by the aliens' peaceful nature. What do you want from Earth? We want to invite you to join our empire, Veltar said. We think humans would make good friends. You create beautiful art and music. You seem curious about the universe. You would fit well with our other species. What would joining your empire mean? Kate asked. We would share our technology with you, Shimara explained. We have ways to travel between stars quickly. We have machines that can heal any sickness. We have farms that can grow food anywhere. And in return? Dr. Wright asked. You would be our friends, Veltar said simply. You would help us explore new worlds. You would share your knowledge with us. You would be part of our peaceful family. Jake thought about this. It sounded too good to be true. Do you have any enemies? Any other species that might threaten? You? The aliens looked at each other. There are some species that are not as peaceful as we are, Kotal admitted. But they are far away. And together, we are strong enough to protect ourselves. How do you protect yourselves if you don't fight? Kate asked. We have shields and defenses, Zixon explained. But mostly, we try to talk to those who would harm us. We offer them friendship instead of conflict. During the meeting, something small happened that none of the aliens really noticed. A coffee cup fell from the table. It happened very fast. But somehow, Jake caught it before it hit the floor. At the same time, Dr. Wright moved to clean up the small splash. Kate immediately checked to make sure no one was hurt. It all happened. In less than 2 seconds, the 3 humans worked together without talking or planning. They just moved like they had practiced this 1,000 times. The aliens saw it, but didn't think it was important. They thought it was just good reflexes. We would like to accept your invitation, Kate said after thinking for a moment. But we will need time to prepare. We will need to tell our people about you. We will need to get ready for such a big change. Of course, Beltar said. We understand. Take all the time you need. We will stay here and learn about your people while you decide. The meeting continued for several hours. The aliens shared pictures of their worlds. They showed human cities made of crystal and light. They showed forests where the trees sang songs. They showed oceans where fish swam through the air. The humans shared their own pictures. They showed the aliens Earth's mountains and oceans. They showed cities full of people. They showed art and music and books. Your people seem very creative, Shamara said. We would love to learn from your artists. And we would love to learn from your scientists. Dr. Wright replied. As the day ended, the aliens returned to their ship. They were happy with how the meeting had gone. They thought humans were exactly what they had hoped to find. A peaceful, creative species that would add beauty to their empire. Jake watched their ship disappear into the darkness of space. He felt excited about the future. But something in the back of his mind felt strange. The aliens seemed almost too peaceful. They talked about enemies, but seemed to have no way to fight them. What do you think? Kate asked him. I think they're good people, Jake said. But I wonder if they really understand what they're getting into. What do you mean? Jake looked out at the stars. I mean, I wonder if they know what humans are really. Like when we need to protect ourselves. Kate followed his gaze. I guess they'll find out soon enough. Neither of them knew how right they were. The aliens had no idea what they had just invited into their peaceful empire. They had seen human art and music and creativity. They had seen human kindness and curiosity, but they had not seen what humans could become when the people they loved were in danger. They had not seen what happened when humans decided that peace was worth fighting for. They would learn soon enough. And when they did, they would understand why Earth had survived and thrived, despite being a small planet in a dangerous universe. The age of human expansion into the galaxy was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months had passed since the first meeting with the Zephyrian Empire. The aliens had kept their promise. They shared their technology with humans. They showed them how to travel between stars quickly. They taught them how to grow food on any planet. Now, human settlements were growing on 3 different Zephyrian worlds. The aliens had given humans the peaceful jobs they thought humans would like. Some humans became farmers. Others became artists. Some became teachers for alien children. Dr. Clixon was a Zephyrian scientist who watched the human settlements. She had purple skin and 4 eyes. Her job was to study how humans lived with other species. She wrote reports. Not everything she saw doubted first. Everything seemed normal. The humans worked hard. They were friendly to their alien neighbors. They made beautiful art and grew excellent food. The other Zephyrians were happy with their new friends, but Clix noticed strange things about the humans. Small things that other aliens missed. On the farming world of Paxtar, she watched human children play with alien children. The alien children liked simple games. They would sing songs or draw pictures in the dirt. They played quietly and gently. But when human children joined them, the games changed. A 10-year-old human boy named Danny Rodriguez would organize the games. He was small and thin, with dark hair and bright eyes. He seemed like a normal child. "Let's play the castle game," Danny would say to the alien children. "I'll be the commander. You can be my soldiers." The alien children didn't understand what a commander was. They didn't know what soldiers were. Their species had never had wars. But they liked Danny, so they played along. Danny would divide the children into groups. He would give each group a job to do. Some would gather rocks to build walls. Others would collect sticks to make weapons. Still others would scout the area to find the best places to hide. The alien children found these games exciting. They had never played games with so many rules and strategies. They didn't know that Danny was teaching them military tactics. They just thought it was fun. Clixon watched this and wrote in her report, "Human children seem to have natural leadership abilities. They organize group activities with impressive skill." On the same world, she watched the human adults work. Ben Torres was a construction worker. He was a big man with strong arms and a friendly smile. The aliens had asked him to help build new houses for the growing settlement. Ben looked at the building plans the aliens had given him. Then he looked at the land where they wanted to build. He frowned. "This won't work," he told the alien architects. "If we build here, we'll be too exposed. We need to build on higher ground with a clear view of the surrounding area." The aliens were confused. Exposed to what? They asked. "This is a peaceful world. There are no dangerous animals here." Ben scratched his head. "I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. We need better defensive positions." He didn't even realize he was thinking like a soldier. To him, it just made sense to build in a place where you could see enemies coming. The aliens didn't understand, but they trusted him. They moved the buildings to where Ben suggested. When they finished, the new settlement looked more like a military base than a peaceful village. The buildings were arranged in a circle with walls between them. There were clear fields of fire in every direction. The main building was on the highest hill, with a perfect view of everything around it. The aliens thought Ben was just a very careful builder. They didn't realize he had turned their peaceful village into a fortress. Clixon wrote in her report, "Human builders show unusual concern for sightlines and positioning. They seem to think about security even when it is not necessary." On the artistic world of Harmon, Clixon watched human artists work. Amy Clark was a teacher who had become a painter. She was a woman with long red hair and gentle hands. The aliens loved her paintings. They were beautiful and full of color. But Clix noticed something odd about Amy's paintings. They were all about conflict. She painted storms fighting against mountains. She painted rivers cutting through stone. She painted animals hunting other animals. The alien artists painted flowers and sunshine. They painted families and friends. They painted peace and harmony. "Why do you paint so much conflict?" An alien artist asked Amy one day. Amy looked at her painting. It showed an eagle diving toward a fish in a river. "I guess I find conflict interesting," she said. "There's beauty in the struggle. There's art in the fight." The alien artist didn't understand. But conflict is ugly. Fighting is painful. Why? Would you want to paint painful things? Amy thought about this. I don't want to paint pain. I want to paint strength. I want to paint the moment when someone decides to fight for what they believe in. The alien artist went away confused. Later, he told Clixon about the conversation. Clixon wrote in her report, "Human artists seem fascinated by conflict and struggle. They find beauty in competition and battle. This is very different from other species in the Empire." The strangest thing Clixon noticed was how humans worked together. On all three worlds, whenever there was a problem, the humans would respond in the same way. When a storm hit the farming world, the humans didn't panic. They didn't run around asking for help. Instead, they immediately organized themselves into teams. Some humans gathered the children to safety. Others secured the buildings. Still others collected supplies and prepared for the worst. They did this without talking to each other. They just seemed to know what to do. It was like they had practiced for this storm their whole lives. The alien families watched in amazement. They had never seen such perfect teamwork. The humans moved like they were all parts of the same body. How do you know what to do? An alien asked Lisa Chong, a human security officer who had organized the evacuation. Lisa looked surprised by the question. I don't know. It just makes sense. When there's trouble, you protect the weak first. Then you secure your position. Then you gather resources. Everyone knows that, but everyone didn't know that. Only humans knew that. The aliens had never learned these rules because they had never needed them. Clixon began to study human history more carefully. She read about human wars and conflicts. She learned about human sports and games. She studied human movies and books. What she found worried her. Every part of human culture seemed to be about conflict. Their sports were mock battles. Their games were about winning and losing. Their stories were about heroes fighting villains. Even human romance was competitive. Humans had to compete for the best partners. They had to prove they were worthy of love. They had to fight for their relationships. The aliens had never had to compete for anything. They had always shared everything equally. They had never needed to prove they were worthy. They had never had to fight for love. Clixon wrote a special report for the Zephyrian High Council. In it, she said, I believe we have made a mistake. About humans, they are not peaceful like us. They are something else, something we don't understand. She sent the report to the capital world of the Empire. The High Council read it with interest. They had noticed some strange things about humans, too. Human settlements were growing faster than expected. Human birth rates were higher than other species. Human children were stronger and smarter than alien children. Human adults were more productive and creative than other species. The humans were not just joining the Empire. They were starting to dominate it. Perhaps we should test them, suggested Council Member Vexar. We should see how they respond to a real crisis. The other council members agreed. They would create a small problem for the humans to solve. They would watch how humans handled conflict. They chose a minor border dispute with the Korthik, neighboring species. The Korthik were known for being aggressive, but they were not very dangerous. They usually backed down when faced with superior numbers. The council sent a message to all human settlements. They explained that there was a small conflict with the Korthik. They asked the humans to help resolve it peacefully. They expected the humans to offer to mediate. They expected them to suggest peaceful solutions. They expected them to act like all the other species in the Empire had acted. They were about to learn that humans were not like other species at all. The human response would shock them. It would terrify them. It would make them realize that they had not invited friends into their empire. They had invited warriors. And warriors did not respond to threats the way peaceful species did. The test was about to begin. And the Zephyrian Empire would never be the same afterward. Clixon watched the message being sent to the human settlements. She felt afraid, though she didn't know why. Something told her that this test was a very bad idea, but it was too late to stop it. The message was already traveling across the stars. Soon, the humans would know that someone wanted to hurt them. And then the aliens would learn what humans were really like when the people they loved were in danger. The galaxy was about to discover why Earth had survived so long in a dangerous universe. It was about to learn why humans had spread across their entire planet, despite having no natural weapons or armor. It was about to learn that the most dangerous thing in the universe was not a monster or a weapon. It was a human who had decided that something was worth fighting for. The message arrived at the human settlements on a quiet morning. Ambassador Kate Sullivan read it first at the main colony on Paxstar. Her hands shook slightly as she finished reading. "The Zephyrian Council needs our help," she announced to the other humans gathered in the meeting hall. "There's a conflict with a species called the Korthic. They want us to help solve it peacefully." The humans in the room looked at each other. Frank Miller, a factory worker who had become a farmer, leaned forward. "What kind of conflict?" "Border dispute," Kate replied. "The Korthish claim some of our mining rights on the edge of Empire space. The Council wants us to find a peaceful solution. Where exactly is this happening?" asked Helen Brooks, a nurse who ran the medical center. Kate showed them a map on the wall screen. "About 2 light years from here. The Korthic have been making threats. They say they'll take the mining stations by force if we don't give them what they want." Steve Park, the librarian, raised his hand. "What do we know about the Korthic?" "Not much," Kate admitted. "The Council says they're aggressive, but not very dangerous. They usually back down when faced with superior numbers." Something changed in the room. The humans became very quiet. They looked at each other with expressions the aliens had never seen before. Their eyes became sharp and focused. "How many Korthic are we talking about?" Frank asked. "The Council estimates about 50,000 on 10 ships. And how many of us are there in the threatened area?" Kate checked her datapad. "About 5,000 humans across 3 settlements." Helen stood up. "We need to get our people ready." "Ready for what?" Kate asked, though she already knew the answer. "For war," Frank said simply. Within an hour, the human settlements were transformed. The aliens watching could not believe what they saw. The peaceful farmers and artists and teachers had become something else entirely. Frank Miller walked through the farming areas with new eyes. He looked at the irrigation ditches and saw trenches. He looked at the grain silos and saw defensive positions. He looked at the farming equipment and saw weapons. "Gary, bring your welding tools," he called to Gary Evans, a mechanic who fixed farming machines. "We need to modify the tractors." "What kind of modifications?" Gary asked. "Armor plating." "Weapons." MOUNTS. "Communication systems. We need to turn them into fighting vehicles." Gary nodded, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. "I'll need help. You'll get it. Everyone who knows how to work with metal will help you." Meanwhile, Helen Brooks was turning the medical center into a military hospital. She moved the beds to create more space. She gathered all the medical supplies they had. She organized the other nurses into teams. "Linda, I need you to set up a field hospital near the defense lines," she told Linda Hayes, a teacher who had medical training. "Ruth, you'll run the main hospital here. I'll coordinate between both positions." "What about the children?" Linda asked. "We'll move them to the safest buildings, but we'll need some of the older kids to help with communications and supply runs." Linda nodded. "I'll talk to the parents." But when Linda talked to the parents, she discovered something amazing. The parents were not worried about their children helping with the war effort. They were proud of them. "Danny knows more about tactics than most adults," said Mrs. Rodriguez about her 10-year-old son. He's been preparing for this his whole life. Preparing for what? Linda asked. For the day he'd have to protect his family. Steve Park was no longer just a librarian. He had become an intelligence officer. He gathered every piece of information he could find about the Korthik. He studied their ships, their weapons, their tactics. They're not very smart, he told the others at the evening meeting. They rely on brute force. They don't use complex strategies. What are their weaknesses? Asked Amy Clark, the artist who had somehow become a communication specialist. They have poor coordination between their ships. They don't adapt well to unexpected situations. And they've never fought humans before. That's their biggest weakness, Frank said grimly. They don't know what they're getting into. The alien observers were terrified by what they saw. Clicks sent urgent messages to the High Council every day. The humans are not preparing for peace talks, she wrote. They are preparing for war. They have turned their settlements into military bases. They are training their children to fight. They are converting their tools into weapons. The High Council read her reports with growing alarm. This is not what we expected, Council Member Vexar said. We thought they would offer to mediate. Perhaps. We should call off the test, suggested another council member. It's too late, Vexar replied. The Korthik have already heard about the human settlements. They're excited about the chance to fight a new species. They won't back down now. On the human settlements, the preparations continued. Every human had a job to do. Even the children were part of the plan. Danny Rodriguez led a group of human and alien children in what looked like games. But Clixon could see they were actually military exercises. Danny was teaching the alien children how to hide, how to run, how to carry messages. If the bad guys come, Danny explained to a young alien girl, you run to the safe house. You don't stop for anything. You don't look back, you just run. The alien child nodded seriously. She didn't understand why, but she trusted Danny. The human adults worked with frightening efficiency. They knew exactly what needed to be done. They didn't argue or waste time. It just worked. Tony Phillips, a chef, had turned his kitchen into a command center. He coordinated food supplies, but also communication between different parts of the settlement. We need more preserved food in the South Bunker, he told his assistant. And tell the people in Building 12 that they need to move their emergency supplies to the basement. Rose Taylor, a grandmother who had been a teacher on Earth, was organizing the evacuation plans for the civilians. But she was also training the younger adults in combat tactics. Remember, she told a group of 20-year-olds, you fight as a team. You never leave someone behind. You always have each other's backs. Nathan Price, a young man who had been studying alien languages, was now intercepting Korthik communications. He had learned their language in just 2 weeks. They're planning to attack in 3 days, he reported to Frank Miller. They think we'll be easy targets. Frank smiled grimly. Let them think that. The most frightening thing for the aliens was how happy the humans seemed. They weren't afraid of the coming fight. They were excited about it. I can't wait to see what we can do, Gary Evans said as he finished putting armor on a tractor. I've been wondering how we'd perform in a real fight. You've been wondering about that? Asked an alien engineer who was helping him. Of course, haven't you? The alien engineer shook his head. I've never wanted to fight anyone. Gary looked at him with surprise. Really? You've never wanted to test yourself against an enemy? You've never wanted to prove you could protect your family? The alien engineer was quiet for a moment. I've never had to protect my family. The Empire protects us. But what if the Empire couldn't protect you? What if it was just you against the people who wanted to hurt your children? The alien engineer thought about this. For the first time in his life, he felt something like anger. I think I think I would want to fight them. Gary smiled. Now you're starting to understand. As the days passed, the human settlements became unrecognizable. The peaceful farms and art studios had become military installations. Every building was fortified. Every road was blocked. Every field was covered with hidden traps. The aliens living in the settlements watched in amazement. They had never seen anything like it. The humans moved like they were all parts of one giant machine. They anticipated each other's needs. They worked together without having to talk. How do you know what to do? An alien asked Pete Davis, an engineer who was setting up defensive barriers. Pete looked confused by the question. I don't know. It just makes sense. When someone threatens your home, you defend it. But how do you know how to defend it? Pete thought about this. I guess we've always known. It's just part of being human. The aliens began to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not peaceful like them. The humans were warriors who had chosen to live in peace. But when that peace was threatened, the warriors came out. The Korthik ships were getting closer. Soon they would arrive at the human settlements. They expected to find frightened farmers and artists. Instead, they would find something the galaxy had never seen before. They would find an entire species that had been born ready for war. The test was almost over. Soon, the Zephyrian Empire would learn the truth about their new human friends, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Korthik fleet arrived at dawn. 10 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace above the human settlements. They were ugly ships, built for war, covered in weapons and armor. Commander Grektal of the Korthak fleet looked down at the planet below. He was a large creature with thick skin and sharp teeth. His people had been warriors for thousands of years. They had conquered many worlds. Look at this pathetic little colony, he said to his officers. The Zephyrians have given us soft farmers. To fight, this will be easier than we thought. His second-in-command, Captain Mortak, studied the scanner readings. I'm seeing some unusual energy signatures, Commander. The settlement patterns look strange. Grektal waved his hand dismissively. Probably just alien farming equipment. These humans are supposed to be artists and farmers. They won't know how to fight. Down on the planet, Frank Miller stood in the command center that had once been Tony Phillips' kitchen. Around him, other humans monitored screens and radios. They were calm and focused. Enemy ships are in position, reported Nathan Price, who was tracking the Korthik fleet. They're powering up their weapons. Let them come, Frank said quietly. Are our people ready? Helen Brooks spoke from the medical station. All field hospitals are prepared. Evacuation routes are clear. Gary Evans called in from his position, near the defensive line. All vehicles are armed and ready. The modified tractors are performing perfectly. Steve Park looked up from his intelligence station. I'm reading their communications. They're planning to land troops in the northern field. They expect light resistance. Frank smiled grimly. Then let's not disappoint them. The first Korthik shuttles landed in the northern field, exactly where Steve had predicted. 50 armored warriors stepped out, carrying heavy weapons. They advanced toward the human settlement, confident and careless. They walked right into the trap. The field exploded. Around them, hidden mines went off in perfect sequence. The Korthik warriors, caught completely off guard, dove for cover behind their shuttles, but there was no safe place to hide. The humans had planned for this moment. Danny Rodriguez, the 10-year-old boy, who had been organizing games, was now acting as a spotter. He crouched in a hidden position with a radio. Enemy troops are pinned down in Section 7, he reported calmly. They're hiding behind the shuttles. Gary, you have a clear shot from the east. Gary Evans drove his modified tractor out of its hiding place. The farming machine was now covered in armor and mounted with weapons. It didn't look like a tractor anymore. It looked like a tank. The Korthik warriors saw it coming and laughed. "They're sending farming equipment to fight us," one of them called out. They stopped laughing when Gary's tractor opened fire. The weapons were more powerful than anything they had expected. The Korthik warriors scattered, but the humans had anticipated that 2. Rose Taylor, the grandmother who had been a teacher, was waiting for them with a group of young adults. They were hidden in the irrigation ditches that Frank had turned into trenches. "Wait for it," Rose whispered to the young humans beside her. "Let them get close." The Korthik warriors ran toward what they thought was safety. They didn't see the humans waiting for them until it was too late. The fight was over in minutes. The Korthik warriors were bigger and stronger than humans. They had better weapons and thicker armor, but they fought like individuals. Each warrior was trying to be a hero. The humans fought like a single organism. Every move was coordinated. Every attack was planned. When one human moved, the others moved. To support them. "Impossible," Commander Grektal said as he watched the battle from his ship. "How are farmers defeating our warriors?" "They're not fighting like farmers," Captain Mordok observed. "They're fighting like they've been planning this battle there." Whole lives, Grektal ordered more troops to land. This time, he sent 200 warriors to 3 different landing sites. Surely the humans couldn't be ready for multiple attacks. He was wrong. At the eastern landing site, Pete Davis was waiting with his engineering team. They had turned the area into a maze of obstacles and traps. The Korthik warriors couldn't move. Without triggering explosions or falling into hidden pits. At the western landing site, Amy Clark coordinated the defense from her art studio. She had become a communications expert, directing human forces with the same creativity she had once used to paint. "Move Team 3 to the left," she called into her radio. "Team 5, hit them from behind when they retreat." The humans moved. Like dancers following music only they could hear. They anticipated each other's actions. They covered each other's mistakes. They fought with a unity that the Korthik had never seen before. At the southern landing site, Linda Hayes led a group of teachers and medical staff. They were not soldiers, but they fought like they had been born for war. "Remember your training," Linda called out as the Korthik warriors approached. "Stay together. Watch each other's backs." The teachers and nurses fought with desperate courage. They were protecting their children, their homes, their future. Nothing could stop them. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Korthik kept sending more troops, but the humans kept defeating them. Every attack was turned back. Every landing was a disaster. Commander Grektal watched his forces being destroyed and couldn't understand how it was happening. "They're just humans," he said. "They're supposed to be weak." "Commander," Captain Mortak said urgently, "we need to retreat. We're losing too many warriors." "No," Grektal snarled. "We are Korthik. We do not retreat from farmers." He ordered his ships to begin bombing the human settlements from orbit. If his warriors couldn't defeat the humans on the ground, he would destroy them from space. But the humans had been expecting this too. "Incoming orbital bombardment," Nathan Price reported. "Enemy ships are targeting the main settlement." "Execute Plan Delta," Frank Miller ordered calmly. The humans had built their settlements to look like easy targets from space. But underneath the surface, they had created a network of tunnels and bunkers. Within minutes, every human and alien civilian had disappeared underground. The Korthik bombs fell on empty buildings. They destroyed the surface structures, but the humans were safe below ground. "Sir," reported Ruth Cox, the janitor who had become a logistics coordinator, "all civilians are secure. 0 casualties." The Korthik had revealed their position by firing from orbit. Now it was the humans' turn to attack. Steve Park had been studying the enemy ships for hours. He had found their weaknesses. Their shields are weaker on the port side, he reported. If we can hit them there with concentrated fire, can we reach them? Frank asked. Gary Evans smiled. I've been working on that. The mining lasers can be modified for long-range targeting. Give me 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, the human settlements struck back. The modified mining equipment sent powerful laser beams into space. The Korthik ships, not expecting ground-based weapons, were caught completely off guard. The first ship lost its shields and began to retreat. The second ship tried to return fire, but the humans had already moved their weapons to new positions. Tony Phillips coordinated the weapons from his command center. He treated the battle like cooking a complex meal. Every timing had to be perfect. Every ingredient had to be in the right place. Fire Team Alpha, target the ship on the left, he called. Out. Fire Team Beta, wait for my signal. The humans hit the Korthik ships again and again. Each shot was perfectly aimed. Each attack was coordinated with the others. The alien weapons were more powerful, but the humans were smarter. Commander Grektow watched his fleet being torn apart by ground-based weapons. How is this possible? He demanded. They're using mining equipment to fight warships. The equipment has been modified, Captain Mortak reported. They've turned their industrial tools into military weapons. And their coordination is perfect. They're fighting like they share the same mind. On the ground, the humans pressed their advantage. They didn't just defend their settlements. They began to hunt down the remaining Korthik warriors. Helen Brooks led her medical teams through the battlefield. But they weren't just treating wounded humans. They were capturing wounded Korthik warriors. Why are you helping us? Asked the injured Korthik soldier. We came here to destroy you. Helen looked at him with gentle eyes. Because that's what humans do. We fight to protect our people. But we don't kill for pleasure. The captured Korthik warriors were confused by human behavior. The humans had defeated them in battle, but they were treating their wounds. They were giving them food and water. They were being kind to their enemies. I don't understand, one Korthik warrior said to Rose Taylor, who was helping to guard the prisoners. Why don't you kill us? We would kill you if we had won. Rose smiled sadly. That's the difference between us. We fight because we have to. You fight because you want to. By the end of the day, the battle was over. 8 of the 10 Korthik ships had been destroyed or damaged beyond repair. The remaining 2 ships were retreating as fast as they could. Commander Grektal sent a message to his home world before he fled. Do not attack the humans, he warned. They are not what they appear to be. They are the most dangerous warriors we have ever faced. The human settlements began to return to normal. The weapons were put away. The tunnels were reopened. The children came out of their hiding places, but the aliens who had watched the battle were changed forever. They had seen what humans were, really like when their families were threatened. Dr. Click's 3 days after the battle, Ambassador Kate Sullivan stood before the Zephyrian High Council. The great chamber was filled with representatives from all 7 species of the Empire. They looked at her with a mixture of fear, wonder, and confusion. Council member Vexar spoke first. His voice was shaky. Ambassador Sullivan, we need to understand what happened at your settlements. Our observers report that your people fought like trained warriors, not farmers and artists. Kate nodded calmly. Our people defended themselves against an attack. That's what humans do. But how? Demanded another council member. You had no military training. You had no weapons. You had no battle plans. Yet you defeated a Korthik fleet in 6 hours. Kate looked around the chamber. She could see the fear in their eyes. They were afraid of what humans might do next. She decided it was time to tell them the truth. You're right, she said. We had no formal military training. We had no weapons designed for war. We had no official battle plans. The council members looked confused. Then how? Kate smiled sadly. Because we didn't need those things. We are human. Every one of us is born ready for war. Dr. Clixon stepped forward. She had been studying humans for months. What do you mean? Born ready for war? Kate gestured to a screen on the wall. May I show you something? The screen lit up with images from Earth. The council saw human children playing games. But now they understood what they were really seeing. This is called tag, Kate explained as children ran around trying to catch each other. Human children think it's just a game, but they're really learning how to hunt and evade enemies. The next image showed children playing with blocks. This is called building blocks. Children think they're just playing, but they're really learning engineering and strategy. More images appeared. Children playing hide and seek. Children competing in races. Children working together to solve puzzles. Every human game is military training, Kate continued. Every human sport is combat simulation. Every human competition is preparation for war. Council member Vexar leaned forward. But surely your adults are different. They chose peaceful professions. Kate shook her head. Our adults are the same. They just found ways to use their warrior instincts in peaceful jobs. She showed them more images. A human doctor, working in an emergency room. This doctor saves lives under pressure. She makes life or death decisions in seconds. She coordinates teams in crisis situations. She's not just a healer. She's a battlefield medic who chose to fight death instead of enemies. The next image showed a human teacher in a classroom. This teacher controls 30 children at once. He plans complex strategies to help them learn. He adapts to unexpected situations. He motivates his troops to achieve their goals. He's not just an educator. He's a commander who chose to fight ignorance instead of armies. Image after image showed humans in peaceful jobs. But Kate explained how each job was really military training in disguise. Your construction worker, Ben Torres, she said, showing an image of Ben building houses. He naturally thinks about defensive positions because every human builder is really a military engineer. Your artist, Amy Clark, creates works about conflict and struggle because every human artist is really a war correspondent. Your chef, Tony Phillips, coordinates complex operations under pressure because every human cook is really a logistics officer. The alien council members looked at each other in growing alarm. You're saying that all humans are soldiers? One of them asked. No, Kate replied. We're saying that all humans are ready to become soldiers when we need to be. But most of us never need to be. Most of us live our whole lives without fighting a real war. Then why are you so prepared for it? Kate was quiet for a moment. Then she began to tell them about Earth's history. Our planet is a dangerous place, she said. We have earthquakes and storms and floods. We have diseases and famines and natural disasters. For millions of years, humans have had to fight just to survive. She showed them images of Earth's harsh environments, deserts where nothing could live, frozen lands where the cold could kill in minutes, jungles filled with deadly creatures. Every day on Earth was a battle, not against other humans, but against the planet itself. We learned to work together because we had to. We learned to plan ahead because we had to. We learned to fight because if we didn't fight, we died. The council members began to understand. Your entire species evolved for warfare. We evolved for survival, Kate corrected. War is just one kind of survival. But we learned that the best way to survive was to protect each other. The humans who worked together lived. The humans who fought alone died. Dr. Clixon spoke up. But your people seemed to enjoy conflict. Your entertainment is all about fighting. Kate nodded. Because conflict is part of our nature. But we learn to channel that nature into peaceful activities. We compete in sports instead of killing each other. We tell stories about heroes and villains instead of becoming villains ourselves. We play games about war instead of starting real wars. What about your children? Asked another council member. Even your children seem ready to fight. Kate smiled. Human children are born warriors, but they're also born protectors. Did you see how Danny Rodriguez organized the alien children during the battle? He didn't teach them to fight. He taught them to survive. He protected them. She showed them recordings from the battle. Human children helping alien families reach safety. Human teenagers carrying supplies to wounded aliens. Human adults risking their lives to save alien civilians. This is what humans really are, Kate said. We are warriors who choose to protect instead of destroy. We are soldiers who fight for peace instead of conquest. Council member Vexar looked troubled. But what does this mean for our empire? What does this mean for our peaceful way of life? Kate looked him directly in the eyes. It means you're safe. For the first time in your history, you have allies. Who can truly protect you? The Korthik will never attack you again. No one will attack you again, because they know that humans will fight for you. But will humans fight for us? Or will humans fight to control us? Kate was quiet for a long moment. This was the most important question of all. The answer would determine the future of both species. Humans will fight for you, she said finally, because that's what we do. We protect the people we care about, and we care about you. She gestured to the screen again. It showed images from the human settlements after the battle. Humans and aliens working together to rebuild. Human doctors treating alien patients. Human teachers helping alien children learn. Look at our settlements, Kate said. Humans could have taken control after the battle. We had the weapons. We had the power. But we didn't. We went back to being farmers and artists and teachers. Because that's who we want to be. The council members studied the images. They could see that Kate was telling the truth. The humans had returned to their peaceful lives after proving they could be warriors. So what happens now? Vixar asked. Kate smiled. Now we continue building a better future together. But you don't have to worry about enemies anymore. If anyone threatens our empire, they'll have to face humans. And humans don't lose when we're fighting to protect our family. And we're your family now? You've always been our family. From the moment you welcomed us into your empire. That's why we fought so hard. We weren't just protecting human settlements. We were protecting our new home. The council voted that day to officially welcome humans as full members of the Zephyrian Empire. But they also voted to change the empire's name. It would no longer be called the Zephyrian Empire. It would be called the Protected Alliance. News of the human victory spread across the galaxy. Other species heard that farmers and artists had defeated a Korthik fleet. They heard that humans could turn peaceful settlements into military bases overnight. They heard that every human was more ready for war. Some species were afraid. They stayed far away from human space. Others were curious. They came to visit and learn about these strange warrior protectors. But no one attacked the Protected Alliance again. They all knew that humans would be waiting for them if they did. On the human settlements, life returned to normal. Children played their games. Adults worked their jobs. Artists created beautiful works. Farmers grew excellent food. But now that the aliens understood what they were really seeing, they were seeing warriors who had chosen peace. They were seeing soldiers who had decided to protect instead of conquer. Danny Rodriguez still organized games for the children. But now the alien children understood that he was teaching them to be strong. Rose Taylor still taught the young adults. But now they understood that she was teaching them to be brave. Frank Miller went back to farming. Gary Evans went back to fixing machines. Helen Brooks went back to healing the sick. Tony Phillips went back to cooking food. But they were ready. They would always be ready. Because they were human dot, and humans were born combat ready. The galaxy had learned its lesson. It had learned that the most dangerous species in the universe was not the one with the biggest weapons or the strongest warriors.